Welcome to Produce Talks.
This whole business is based on relationship and friendships.
Food is darn simple.
What can we do? What are other countries doing?
How important it is for industry to be talking about this.
We're going back to the farm. We're going back to the whole food.
Hi, I'm Wally Burns, the Education and Training Manager at CPMA. Industry innovation is a key focus area of CPMA, where we offer the opportunity for our members to share their innovation efforts and to facilitate connections to new innovators in the produce industry. Almost a year ago, CPMA was proud to host our first Innovation Zone at the Convention and Trade Show in Toronto. In April 2024, we'll host the next in-person Innovation Zone in Vancouver, where produce innovators will showcase their new technologies to attendees of the trade show. For more information or to exhibit, go to cpma.ca or contact Jeff Hall at 647-409-3570. CPMA also has an online produce innovation hub, where produce innovators can post and share information to get the attention of the produce industry. www.produceinnovationhub.com is open for business. Today, we hear from a sample of companies who will be exhibiting in the CPMA Produce Innovation Zone in Vancouver. Links to their respective websites will be in the show notes. The first part has Mike Mauti interviewing Laurent Dallaire of Inadel. Then Dil Vashi of CO2 Grow will tell us about his company and what they learned at the CPMA Convention and Trade Show. Todd Fabick, who is with Clarifruit, will tell us about his company and their experience with the CPMA Innovation Zone and how they can help the produce industry. In addition, listen to the end of the podcast for this month's Industry Insights. Mike Mauti again shares current statistics from the Canadian consumer market. It's a short 5-minute segment that provides you with timely updates to help in your business. Now, let's listen to Mike Mauti conduct the 3 interviews.
Thank you, Wally, and good day to everyone who is joining us. We have an exciting episode today. Today, we're going to be interviewing 3 different individuals who work for companies that exhibited at our Innovation Zone in Toronto in 2023. I just want to remind everybody that we are having an Innovation Zone again in 2024 in our Vancouver trade show. So be sure to join us there and take a look at all the new and exciting technological wonders of the produce industry. But today, we're going to be interviewing 3 different people who were there last year, and they're going to tell us about their products, their innovations, and their experience with the CPMA Innovation Zone in Toronto. So the first person I'd like to welcome is Laurent Dallaire from Inadel. Thank you very much for joining us today. And, maybe give our listeners a bit of an introduction about Inadel and who you are.
Right. Well, thanks, Mike, for the intro and the opportunity to be there today on your podcast and share about the experience that we had at the Innovation Zone last year, which was great for us. So I'm Laurent Dallaire. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Inadel. Inadel is a company that specializes in the development and the production of natural antimicrobial for the food processing industry. So solution to get rid of pathogen like Listeria, E. coli, Salmonella. So all bacterial strains that could cause disease, cause recall in the industry. Our goal is really to be able to remove chemicals and all that is aggressive solution that we're currently using to get rid of these pathogenic strain with natural solution. So for the little story, Inadel was born in 2017 from our research studies at Laval University. The goal, like I said, was really to get a new alternatives for chemical preservatives in all sorts of food processing area as meat production, seafood, but also in produce and vegetables, because you can't cook these products. It's something that is very fragile. You need to protect it as much as you can without altering the product. So what we came up with is called bacteriocins. So bacteriocins are small proteins that are produced by probiotic strains as a mean of defense in their environment. We extract those proteins and then we can apply it directly on the food product during its processing to protect it against, like I said, strains like Listeria, E. coli, Salmonella. We had so much recall in the last couple of years for the specific type of product like romaine salad. That was the biggest recall in 2018, something like that. So actually to woke up the industry for that kind of issue, and the problem being that there's no solution right there, like efficient solution that can get rid of this pathogenic strain without completely altering the product that is so dear for us. So, we were there last year showcasing our new product, which is called Ineo. So Ineo is a liquid concentrate of our bacteriocin that targets Listeria. And timing was great because there was a new Listeria policy that came up into place last year by CFIA and Health Canada, changing the ground and the technologies where we can use during processing of those food. Because right now, clearly CFIA is inspecting more and more produce factory because there was a lot of recalls and problems like that. And what Health Canada did last year was basically saying, okay, we're not the one taking all the responsibilities and we're not checking you guys. Now it's you guys who are taking the responsibility. You need to be aware of what's the risk in your production plant. You need to take care of that. But it also meant that you can use pretty much all the technologies that exist right now. There's a lot more of option, but you need to prove that it's efficient, it works. So for us, bringing a new technology, bringing bacteriocins on the market was a great opportunity because it meant that, okay, it's available, it's feasible to use it and bringing that to, for, let's say, the processing. So for the little, Innovator 101, this is it.
Yeah, that's great. So it sounds like we're talking about a gentle type of application to destroy dangerous pathogens in fruits and vegetables. Quite an important step. Now, for our listeners, maybe you can let us know what type of organization would be best suited for this product.
So the best type of organization would definitely be the one that reprocesses it, that would cut it, package it. It's really the last person who works the product before packaging it, because basically it's your brand that is on the packaging. So if there is an incident, if there is a quality issue, it's your brand that is at risk. And due to the fact that you're processing the produce, let's say you slice it, mash it, do a puree with it, that's where you get the most risk of contamination. From our experience at CPMA last year, we were able to get in contact with 3 great organizations with 3 different type of product by itself, where they were all at risk. So we had one who was a smoothie producer who took IQF fruits, blended together to do a puree that was kind of a concentrated smoothie. There's no heat treatment in that. You don't have the ability to control precisely the quality of each of your ingredients. So there's always that risk, yes, there that one of my ingredients could be the risk of contamination in my smoothie. We were also in contact with a pesto producer who did pesto sauce, using fine herbs and spices. And once again, it's not something that was cooked, and they didn't want to pasteurize their product because to really change the nature of the product, change the taste, the quality of it. So it's always kind of a compromise that you don't want to cook it because you change the nature of it. You remove nutrients, stuff like that, but you're more at risk. So what's the other barrier that you can put in place in your process to protect yourself against this type of contamination? So that's where we come into place, where we could add the protein in their sauce or in the smoothie to remove the pathogen the strains without changing the nature of the product. And we were in contact with a third one that was really interesting as well, who did sliced apple. So really basic sliced apple, but most of their customers were institutions, hospitals, schools. So it's really you're addressing a population that is highly at risk for diseases because you're addressing children, you're addressing old people, sick people who are immunodeficient. So necessarily you need to take care of these people, put higher, let's say, quality barrier or standards in your organization because you specifically address to them. And that was one of the new thing in the new Listeria policy from the CPMA is that the moment that you know specifically that you're selling to institutions like, once again, schools, hospital, retirement homes, you know that you have a population that is more at risk for these kind of contamination diseases. You need to put higher standards for your product because, well, the risk is there.
Okay, so it sounds like we're talking about minimally processed fruits and vegetables, like you said, with sliced apples, as well as more processed foods like smoothies and things like that. But at the end of the day, products that you don't want to pasteurize and aren't going to take a cook method to kill any of those pathogens. So let me ask you, how about companies that are more customer facing, like grocery retailers? You know, they have their salad bars where they're doing cut fruit and poured pineapple and things like that. Is that an opportunity for this product?
Absolutely. Because once again, the risk of recontamination, there's a lot of handling of the product. And when you showcase it, then you have a lot of circulation in front of your product where there's a lot of touching, manipulating. So of course, it's a great opportunity for this type of produce because once again, the real risk is, you know, when you have a contamination by Listeria, E. coli, and so on, most of the time, it's not the produce that is the source of contamination. It's the handler, the people who are touching it. It's us. We're the one contaminating the product, handling the product. So we're the main source of contamination. So the more handling, the more manipulation, the more risk.
That's really interesting. And you know, of course, you being an important inaugural part of our innovation zone, maybe let us know, what did you think of that experience? Was it an easy experience for you to get to exhibit your business?
Yeah. Well, I think it was a must for us because in our case, we're talking about microbiology. So it's invisible. So be able to put image on what's bacteria, what's antimicrobial, how does it work? How does it taste? Like really be able to show it, get face-to-face time with people. And, you know, being in the innovation zone, people that comes into the innovation zone, they're more open-minded. They're there to see innovation, really to try new stuff. So clearly it was a great experience for us to be there and be able to showcase. And for any innovation out there, the main problematic, the main barrier is always to be known, to get it out there, to show your stuff. You work for 10 years in your lab, underground, hidden, trying to get it to work. And then the moment it works, well, you need to showcase it and then put it up there. So it was a great platform to really be able to say, we exist, it's happening, it's there, it's usable, try it.
Well, that's great to hear. And I'm very happy to hear that you did make contacts and that you did extend your business because you were able to meet the right people at the right time who are interested in your product at the Innovation Zone last year. Well, thank you very much for your time. I look forward to seeing you in Vancouver and all the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. And once again, really glad to be there in Vancouver, coming pretty soon. So come and see us and I'll be happy to talk about innovation.
Okay, well, next up we have Dil Vashi from CO2 Grow, another one of our 2023 Innovation Zone participants. Welcome, Dil. Really appreciate you joining us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for having us on this podcast and for inviting us to the Innovation Zone last year at the CPMA. So CO2 Grow, we're a Canadian-based ag tech company, and we have proprietary technology for enriching plants in greenhouses with CO2 using CO2 misting as opposed to the traditional gassing methods. And so more CO2 for plants means more production. More production means more profit and food for people to eat.
Well, that's really interesting. So maybe let us know about the specific innovation that you were exhibiting at the Innovation Zone.
Yeah, so traditionally for many decades, growers, including in Canada, will typically enrich their plants with CO2 by atmospheric gassing. So they'll essentially inject the CO2 gas into the greenhouse. try and get it to about 2 to 3 times what you would normally have in ambient air. So ambient air has 400 parts per million of CO2. Growers will try and get it to between 800 to 1200. That's possible in Canada during the winter time when the greenhouse vents are closed. But as soon as spring rolls around and the temperatures go up from around April to October, the greenhouses vent. And so when they're venting, all the CO2 they pump in essentially escapes out into the atmosphere. So we solve this problem in 2 steps. Number 1 is we infuse CO2 gas into water to create an aqueous CO2 solution. We then mist it onto the leaves of plants to create a microfilm. And the CO2 that's in that microfilm on the leaf surface essentially is absorbed by the leaf into the plant, where the plant can use it for photosynthesis and more production.
Well, that's really interesting. So I've heard about a product that you have, Sea Sustainable Crop Enhancement. Maybe let us know what that's all about and how that can benefit growers.
Yeah, so sustainable is really a branding term that we've used to describe the technology. And where it comes from is C stands for the carbon in CO2 and sustainable, a play on the word sustainable. So one of the major benefits of using our technology is in order to get the same production as you would if you were gassing it in, using our technology, you can actually reduce your CO2 gas emissions by over 95%. So growers that are currently pumping in the gas into a greenhouse, especially when they're venting, 98% of that escapes to the outside atmosphere. If they're using our technology, they're using only about 2 to 5% of the CO2 gas, and a negligible amount, if anything, actually escapes out into the atmosphere. So essentially, a grower can now reduce their CO2 emissions and become more of a sustainable grower. And we came up with this to not only help the growers on the production side, but to help the marketers on the marketing side. So now it adds to their sustainable story, be able to tell their consumers that they're growing in a more sustainable way, reducing their CO2 emissions. And hopefully one day we'll end up actually having a label called Sustainably Grown, which we're still in the early stages of working with growers and retailers on, but it's certainly something that we hope one day will be a consumer label that growers can put on their products.
So you've really got a double benefit here. You've got an application that helps increase yields and production, while at the same time being environmental by reducing carbon emissions. That's really pretty impressive. Now, you mentioned greenhouses. Is that the primary use case for this product, or are there other type of growing operations that can benefit from it?
So essentially, we focus on all of protected agriculture or covered agriculture. So it can be anywhere from a simple net house or shade house to polyhoop tunnels, to low-tech greenhouses, as well as high-tech greenhouses, and even indoor applications, including in certain cases vertical grows, depending on the way they're designed.
Oh, very good. So talk to us about your experience at the Innovation Zone.
It was absolutely fantastic for 3 reasons. Number 1 is most of the shows we go to are very grower focused, like the Canadian Greenhouse Conference, for example. But in this case, attending the CPMA gave us exposure to the marketing side of a grower's operation, which was a new learning experience for us. And that's really when we came up with the idea of sustainable, when we realized growers telling us that, hey, we could possibly use your technology to help us market our products better. So that was a huge learning experience for us. But also at the show itself, not only did we learn about the marketing side and start building those relationships, we also met other growers who were walking the show, and we were able to generate business not only with some greenhouse growers in Canada, but also some international ones. For example, one of our customers in Colombia that's soon going to be exporting produce to Canada.
So I just want to highlight that point you made. So you came up with a new marketing angle because of the conversations you had with a diverse group of produce professionals at the CPMA in Toronto.
Exactly. And I think most of our discussions with the grower side, growers are growers. They're focused on making more produce and better quality produce, but the marketers can understand how that's done so that they can brand their products better. And without the exposure at the CPMA, we likely wouldn't have come up with this idea if it wasn't for talking with the diverse group of marketers and branders that are at that show.
Wow, that's great. That sounds like maybe something else that we need to start pitching as we grow the innovation zone in future shows. So that's great. So how about the setup or the ease of exhibiting in the innovation zone?
Very easy. I mean, all of the materials, all of the booth design and so forth was primarily done by you guys. All we had to do was provide the artwork, which is very straightforward in terms of understanding the size, the DPIs, color coding, and all that kind of stuff, which pretty much any marketing organization in a company will be able to provide. And then everything was set up perfectly. All the print work was done. We literally just had to show up and talk to people, which is the fun part of going to these shows.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I appreciate that feedback, and I'm really happy to hear that you had a successful show in 2023. And I also look forward to seeing you again in Vancouver. So best of luck to you, and thank you very much for joining our podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. And I look forward to seeing you in Vancouver as well.
All right. Next up, we have our last organization. I'd like to introduce you all to Todd Fabek of Clarefruit. Welcome, Todd. Thank you very much for joining us. Just quickly, maybe tell us a little bit about Clarefruit and what you're all about.
Sure, Mike. It's great to be here. Clarefruit. So we are an AI-driven QC and quality assurance platform for the produce industry. We started developing the product in the software platform in 2015. And because we were working with AI and computer vision, we stayed in a development mode until we started offering the product to the marketplace in 2018. And now in 2019, we have global customers all over the world. Some of the largest produce companies are using Clarefruit. And why are they using Clarefruit? Well, what we do is we allow their inspectors to use our mobile app. And within that mobile app is the opportunity to take in all of the attributes and all of the, documentation at the inspection point, regardless of where it occurs on the supply chain. And that data goes into the mobile app, in a structured manner. And then ultimately, after the inspector has completed all the work in the mobile app, that data goes into the back end, which is the web app for the quality control team and leadership team to see all that data in a structured manner, which allows them to do structured reporting. So at the end of the day, current world, if inspectors are doing things in a manual process or a disparate process, and maybe they have spreadsheets and maybe even a mobile app, we centralize all that data input and consolidate it through our mobile app, and we show all that reporting output on the dashboard on the back end. Why is that important? 70% of the produce industry is doing the best that they can. They're inspecting over and over and over again all day long. It's a big lift. They're having to go faster, and they're having to do more inspections. And that 70% is still probably using a manual process. So we help them modernize to an electronic form, plus with computer vision or AI to help them go faster. We're here in the business of moving folks off the challenges of a current process that's difficult and helping them modernize and then get the benefits of that modernization.
Well, that's really interesting. AI, of course, is a big buzzword, and everyone's talking about AI. Maybe explain to us in a little bit of detail, how does Clarefruit use AI to drive the QA process?
Great question. So I'll just use a use case. Let's say that I'm a marketing company and I have lots of grapes coming into my inbound dock that need to be inspected, which has to happen. So anywhere along the inspection points across the supply chain, there is an inspector who's going to do an inspection. So the reason why we want to put the Clarefruit app in their hands is for three reasons to collect the data. One is the traditional way of using the app to take in the data of that inspection manually, doing checklists or identifying defects. That's a manual process. You can use the mobile app to go ahead and connect with the refractometer for the purposes of drawing in the bricks readings of that grape sample directly into the mobile app, which is the number 2 way through third-party integration. The AI comes in because we have the ability to measure size, color, and stem color of that sample without having to refer to a color chart, without having to use a sizing ring, without having to use calipers. So we're replacing the measurement of size and color on the grapes through the AI by just simply taking photographs in the app. What happens then are those photographs compare themselves to the quality specs that are digitized on the back end of the system. So while the inspector is doing their grapes inspection, they will actually start seeing the grading coming forward in the inspection. Are these berries within this grape sample? Are they within the size range, or are they outside of the size range? Are they within the color range or outside of the color range? So the AI is doing size and color currently.
And so tell me, what are some of the big benefits to using Clarefruit or a packer?
Great question. So there are three big buckets that Clarefruit brings to the table as the benefits, as KPIs, as the modernization, and it's the ROI on the product. So the first thing we want to do is we want to help create as much objectivity as we can within the inspection process. Currently, there's a lot of subjectivity in that process, which could possibly lead to this discussion called quality mismatch between trading partners. So there could be a discussion about the sizing or the color, and there may be, I don't want to say, a little bit of friction between partners about the condition of those grapes. I'll stay on the grapes. But by using our app and the AI, you will remove the subjectivity of the measurement of size and color by letting the camera do it. So now we have more objectivity in that inspection process. That's number one. Number two, because of the app and because of the structured data and the workflow that an inspector would work through, we're finding that our customers and their inspectors are moving at a clip of 2 to 3x faster than they would in the current state. So we're helping them go faster. We're helping them be more objective, and we're helping them be more accurate. Another output to that is when I complete my inspection as the inspector, I can send that QC report to trading partners in real time and immediately. There's no secondary step. It's just complete the inspection and communicate to the trading partners. So the grading and all of the documented part of the inspection itself reside within that inspection report. And then that just leads to other benefits such as, okay, the structured data that was taken in by the inspector equals the structured data that could be viewed by the QC team. Show me the grapes that provided me the sweetest bricks from this portion of the world in the last 3 weeks. That data is absolutely available within Clarefruit because the inspector takes in the data in the manner that I mentioned earlier.
Wow. So better quality, better intelligence, more efficient, and levels the playing field amongst growers.
It does. And also from a market, so anyone can use Clarefruit, but our expertise right now, as we've launched our journey, is to work with the marketing companies. So in that case, if I am a grape marketing company, not only can I do an inspection on those grapes based on the quality spec that I want to grade them against, because of the adaptability and the flexibility of Clarefruit, you can have as many quality specs as you would like on the back end of Clarefruit. So a customer of ours could have all of their customer specs. They can have all of their quality specs loaded into Clarefruit. So one inspection will end up resulting in grading across trading partners. That visibility provides our customers the ability to not be rejected. Number one, we're reducing rejections between partners between 15 and 23% year over year, which is a big number. But just as importantly, thank you. And just as importantly, that visibility allows the marketing company to be able to identify who to send the product to based on quality. So if I have an A grade for customer 1, and I have a B grade for customer 2, and a failure grade for customer C, clearly not to C, maybe to B, but probably be best to go to A. So quality to quality usually creates a situation to maximize the profitability of the transaction.
Okay, very good. Now you say you've been focusing on kind of primary producers, but it can go to anybody. Are you suggesting that this would be a good tool for produce wholesalers or importers or even say retailers?
Absolutely. So our model is let's go ahead and work in one area to create the expertise and learn everything we can, knowing that the application in our platform is available to everyone in the supply chain. So the marketing companies have taught us a ton. We are now doing business with some of the largest greenhouse growers in Canada, which is fantastic. We work with global leaders across the world, and we are now starting to work with the wholesalers and the DCs and even starting to test the product with some retailers. So we're moving across the entire supply chain. So we'll say we're moving downstream in the supply chain, as I say, but we've also moved upstream in the supply chain to go to the pack houses, into the grow houses. So long story short, anywhere where an inspector may do a QC inspection, whether it be inbound, outbound, or an overtime inspection to keep track of the quality of the produce, Clarifruit could be there in the inspector's hands as the app. So we're ready to do business in any part of the supply chain.
Well, that's great. So now as an inaugural member of the Innovation Zone, maybe tell us a little bit about your experience last year.
Oh, it was terrific. The way it was set up was if folks were really interested in seeing what's out there to help them modernize, we were right there to be able to have those types of conversations. And thankfully, we had a ton. So the way the setup was perfect for accessibility for folks to come in and have an intimate conversation. When you're talking about replacing a current state with a modern and future state through technology, those conversations need to take a bit of time because there's nuance there's education. There has to be an alignment on if this is a good product for someone to take on. So we had plenty of visitors, plenty of opportunity to have those discussions. I could demo the product. And the output was I actually walked out of Toronto with multiple trials for Clarifruit and actually closed a couple of deals. So the whole thing was a huge success story. I also want to say how easy it was. Our marketing team provided your team all the assets and the creative assets that were necessary to create the environment. I'm not a lazy guy, but it was really nice to be able to just walk up to a booth and do some business. So I really appreciated that type of support.
Well, that's great. We appreciated you being there, and we look forward to seeing you again in Vancouver. So thank you very much for taking the time with us today, and all the best of luck in the future. And I just want to close this off by saying to anybody who's going to be at the Vancouver Trade Show, make sure you stop by the Innovation Zone, talk to the exhibitors, learn a little bit about what's going on with their businesses. I think it'll be a great experience for you. So I want to thank Todd as well as Dill and Laurent for their time today.
Okay, see you all in Vancouver. Thanks.
CPMA continues to make significant effort to get to know the Canadian produce consumer better. After all, where would our industry be without the people who actually buy fruits and vegetables? In addition to Mike's role promoting innovation initiatives for CPMA, he also serves as CPMA's consumer guru. Here is this month's Industry Insights, where Mike will again provide us with what we've learned Canadian consumers really think about inflation. Welcome, Mike. We're always very interested to hear the Canadian produce consumers' reactions to the current economic pressures.
Well, thanks a lot, Wally. I appreciate the introduction. And again, I'm happy to be here. We figured that this month marks a good time to revisit the whole inflation piece. The holidays are long in the rearview mirror, and even the big credit card bills that go along with it are probably all paid. And we're getting back to kind of this state of normal. So we thought this would be a good time to check in with our panel and see what they're feeling about produce pricing.
Good timing indeed. It seems like there's a never-ending barrage of media coverage on food prices, and it's hard to cut through all the noise. How are Canadians really feeling?
Well, the first thing that we like to probe of our panel is just how they're feeling about produce prices and how they consider they've changed over the last 12 months. So this time around, they're still feeling a little bit of the pressure of high prices. 70% of our panel is telling us that produce prices have increased a lot from 12 months ago. Now, I just want you to park that statistic for a second, because we're going to get back to it in a minute. So we've long felt, or we've had our viewpoint on how inflation is impacting produce consumption. And lo and behold, what we found out is that 8 out of the last 9 months, produce consumption, as measured in our panel by servings per day per person, has been lower than 3 servings per person. So it's been deflated quite a bit, and we've long since felt that has a lot to do with inflation. And so I thought this month would be a good time to dig into that a little bit. So I pulled some StatsCan data, specifically on the consumer price index for fruits and vegetables. And I compared the movement of the consumer price index with the movement of our daily reading on produce consumption. And what we found is that the two numbers are highly correlated. In fact, they come back with a 60% correlation number. So what that means in simple terms is that 60% of the change that we're seeing in daily produce servings can be explained by the change in the consumer price index. So now that's an interesting thing to think about. I mean, it's not like consumers are walking around with the consumer price index in their hip pocket. So obviously there's something innate in how they respond to higher prices. So they're seeing higher prices in the grocery store, and they're cutting back on their consumption. Again, they don't know the exact consumer price index, but strangely, it does have a very close relationship with each other. So really what we end up with is a good case, bad case scenario. And I'll start with the good case. What we're seeing is the inflation in fruits and vegetables has actually been declining over the last little while. And in fact, the January reading shows a 1.3% inflation over January of 2023. So remember, I asked you to park that 70% number for later. So consumers are feeling that prices have increased a lot. But meanwhile, the numbers tell us that they're only increasing a little bit and probably not even a recognizable amount. So that tells us that there is a lag effect on how people are responding to produce prices. So that's probably the bad news story of this. Although prices are normalizing, people are still feeling that pinch of high price.
So it sounds like we're not out of the woods yet. Generally, are people using the same coping mechanisms we have seen in the past?
Well, we're certainly seeing that consumers are still gravitating towards specials, and they're still cutting back on their consumption. So they're trading down to other types of foods. But interestingly, the exodus to discount stores has subsided over the last 2 quarters, where we did see a large movement away from conventional stores and into discount. That has remained flat since pretty much the end of the third quarter of 2023.
Thank you for your insights into the Canadian produce shopper, Mike. We look forward to hearing more next month. Thank you, everyone. And to the listeners, thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to Produce Talks at Google or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on most other podcast players. Until next time, fill half your plate with fruits and veggies, continue to seek out new knowledge, and basically never stop growing.